What's going on, everybody? This is Joe.
And Amy.
And we are back with the final episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Last time, if you missed it, you should definitely go check it out, first of all. But what we did was we were in court for the second episode in a row, the final day of trial. We finally got Chief of Police Gant up on the stand, spoke to him for a while until things started looking bad for him, and then he ran away like a coward. Yep. He invoked his right to not have to testify, and then we decided that we would bring up Lana instead to speak about what was going on. He threatened her to not do that, and here we are.
Right.
So we are here for
all that stuff happened for real, if you can believe it.
We're here for the final day, the final part of trial. Let's see what we can do about solving this case. Are you gonna do it? Oh, sorry. I did the wrong thing. We just do that. Wrong button. I just saved it like twice for no reason. February 25th, 2:21 p.m., District Court, courtroom number 9. Oh, and Emma's with us as well, which I almost forgot.
Yeah.
Now then, will the defendant, Ms. Lana Skye, please take the stand? Here she is. Ms. Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Ms. Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course. The truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. So yeah, Gant threatened her and said that if she does this and testifies this way, Emma will be convicted of that murder.
Even if she doesn't,
Marshall.
They've already proven Emma did it.
Yeah, well.
So it's a little late for that.
Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Okay. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana... If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Gant and the fabrication cross-examination. I worked alongside Gant for years. How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years. Detective Gant and Detective Skye were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases. She must have been good coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective. That's why. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. But think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. So notice what she did. She said, I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. She didn't say I stabbed him to death.
Right.
She didn't say he was alive when I stabbed him.
Right, she didn't say I killed him.
Nope. So as far as she's concerned, she's telling the truth under oath. Now, I don't know about this line, that she fabricated it all by herself. Maybe she did. Maybe it was under his instruction, but she did it alone. Right? Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. I mean...
Fair.
Yeah, that's what I see it every time I close my eyes means.
Right.
And that's what Emma's been saying multiple times. Also, I think we've talked about self-defense before, but just as a reminder for folks, self-defense, again, in my limited experience as a New York attorney, self-defense is an affirmative defense, which means that you would still be charged with a crime. So Emma could still be charged with murder or whatever charge they choose to go with, aggravated assault or manslaughter or whatever. Self-defense is an affirmative defense that her attorney would bring up for her during the trial itself, and then she would have to prove, or her attorney would have to prove, that she acted in self-defense, while the prosecution is trying to both prove their case against her and disprove self-defense, or show that it wasn't justifiable self-defense. Right. So she still could be arrested, she still could be charged, she still could be brought into court, and they could still have a trial. It's just that so that you can't just say, well, officer, don't arrest me, it was self-defense. That's not how that works, right? Like, it's not the officer's job to determine that. All their job is to determine that you did or did not commit this act. They investigate it, and then if they have sufficient evidence, they then arrest you, and then the prosecution charges you and attempts to convict you. But anyway, that's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana. So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago? When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken Prosecutor Award knife was stuck in the victim's body. That's not the art that we're seeing here, though.
No.
That's the knife that is listed as evidence for this, which is Joe Dark's knife.
This is the post-rearranged
Oh,
picture.
good point. Yeah.
Because this is on Lana's side of the office.
Yes, very good point. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. What? If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor, a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me. So, when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, and then moved the body. You planted the tip of Dark's knife, and then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that?
How was she able to move both the men's bodies into that spot?
I mean, not at the same time.
Yeah, but, The one guy was like, oh, I guess he wasn't up on the sword, or she's saying he wasn't up on the sword?
She's saying he wasn't. You of all people should know, Edgeworth.
But she's like a skinny woman. Like, the likelihood of her being able to, like, drag both of the bodies over to the same area of her side of the office and, like, fuck with the murder weapons and everything before anyone noticed, like...
She may be a skinny woman, but I would say, like, she had to have gone through at least some degree of the police academy. Like, there's definitely some, like, you know, cardio training or strength training or whatever that she would have to go through, and she's obviously fit, right?
Yeah, but that would have been so many years ago. I don't think that would have played any kind of part in her strength at this point in time.
I don't know.
Or 2 years ago, even.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. Like, she could be relatively muscular
under
there, but...
as a detective, you don't need to have muscles.
I mean, you still...
As a cop, you do, but...
you still could chase after quote-unquote bad guys or criminals.
As a detective, there's not really a need.
I mean, if you're questioning somebody and they run, like if you're questioning them on the street and they run...
You just have the police detain them, like...
Okay. I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll talk about it, maybe we won't, but I think it's plausible. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. Why did you plant the knife? Why did you move the body?
Plant the knife.
But why did you do that? Come now, Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out. Very well. Let's add this to the witness's testimony. The reason Ms. Skye fabricated the knife. I knew the tip of the weapon found buried in his body would be all the proof we needed. According to your testimony, Prosecutor Marshall's broken knife was the murder weapon, right? Yes, and leaving it at that might point the blame away from Dark. I felt the most effective way to get him convicted would be by having the tip of his knife found inside the victim's body. So you buried it inside the victim's stab wound? Yes, because I hated Dark for what he did. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. I just like... Her only motivation was to get Dark convicted. Earlier on, she literally said Emma was traumatized by this, so right. He had to be convicted. So it's like, I just don't fully understand.
Because it's lies, so it doesn't make sense.
I know, it's just like... But why isn't anybody else calling it out? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's so far-fetched.
Because we're the ones who have to call it out.
I guess. So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like the murderer? How many times do I have to tell you, Mr. Wright? Emma didn't do it. Period. Are you so desperate to hide that fact? You're willing to risk the death sentence? She's lying. She did it so I wouldn't be blamed for what happened. In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions. Mr. Wright, my sister's lying. Looks like she's determined to protect you to the end. She insists she fabricated the evidence by herself. There's no way she could have done it alone. I've got to get Lana to talk more. If she's lying, then she's bound to slip up and make a contradiction. Okay. So I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory.
Now we can present the leather.
Yeah. No, I don't think that works. Okay, it didn't work. I'm not sure I follow. It clearly contradicts the, I thought... You don't sound very convinced, Mr. Wright. Objection overruled. God damn it. Alright. I don't think that won me any points with the judge. Okay. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Is that something? So let's check what we have here. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. I mean... Serial murder, death, these were all the victims, these was the trial data, and these were the task force members. Okay. No to that, no to that, no to that. Only that's irrelevant. Rubber glove, extremely thin rubber glove. Evidence from floor plans, no. Lost item report, screwdriver, fingerprint set, ID card record, switchblade knife. Victim's shoe that had her blood on it, but that's from this case. So, yeah, there's just got to be a point where we can present this. I just don't know where. But... does this evidence list have anything to do with it? Half of it was found in Gant's desk. Do we get to... no, we just see this. Okay. It's just the pictures on the back. It's not the actual evidence itself. So, yeah. I guess, we move on. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. I knew the tip of the weapon found buried in the body would be all the proof we needed. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Now we try this, I guess?
Yeah.
Come on. The witness's statement is clearly faulty, Your Honor. I'm so mad. What the hell is it? I'm sorry, but I can see nothing faulty. Unfortunately, I will have to penalize you, Mr. Wright. Alright, I'm not fooling around. This is the finale. I'm looking this up. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I wouldn't have remembered it. There we go. I wouldn't have remembered to, like, press on this again to get back to those questions, but... you planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound, and then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. Why did you move the body? So we asked, why did you plant the knife? We should ask, why did you move the body? When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Ms. Skye moved the body. The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. So I broke off the tip. Okay. So the pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Okay, let's find out why. Pieces of the jar? You mean... yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed, but I have a feeling there's more to it than that. There must be a contradiction here somewhere.
And the picture that they just showed us while she was giving her testimony was of him hitting the sword. Even though she's trying to say that he never did hit the sword.
Right. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. So do we just show her the jar?
I guess.
Yep, I guess we do. Ms. Skye, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I'm compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments, which he couldn't have done if they were shattered on the floor.
Right.
Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies.
She wiped it off and cracked it herself.
Yeah, I guess so. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Order! Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony. Okay. Jar and message in blood. Witness testimony. Let's do it.
Okay.
I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. Why? I guess we'll ask her that in a minute. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. Okay, so the I'm sure I got them all, we can show the thing to her.
Right.
Because a piece of it was in Gant's desk, and we have that as part of the evidence. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. All right, so I still think we're going to do what we usually do. Press everything, and then if it brings us back around, which it often does, then when we get to that one spot, we can press with the jar, or present the jar. Thank you. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. So the jar was already broken? It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier. It certainly looks as feeble as the defense's case. Whoa!
Wow.
It's been a little bit, but how about you be an impartial judge, you asshole? What the hell?
That's the first thing with, like, any brain power he's ever said.
Yeah.
I feel like.
But not as...
And it was a judgmental, like, terrible thing to say.
Yep. But not as feeble as the judge's judgment. You were an ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally I would have. But it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust.
Wow.
Well, that helps my case. Lana, you do that for me? She's like so happy about it. Seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came. This is rather shocking. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. It's true, there would have been literally no reason for it.
Well, except that the vase was located on the wrong side of the office, and she was moving the bodies to the other side of the office to make it look like that's where the murder occurred. So, but that doesn't mean you need to wipe the blood off the vase. It just means you have to move the vase.
Right, exactly.
Or, like, get rid of the picture that shows that it's on the other side of the office.
Right. What else could I have done in that situation? Lana? I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. There we go. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. So you illegally rearranged the crime scene? Yes. I don't have any excuse for my actions. I'm so sorry, Lana. I didn't know. I've treated you so badly all this time. It's not too late. There's still plenty of time to make up.
She hasn't treated her badly.
After talking about how cold she is and
That's just facts.
But she wasn't always. She only became that way when she started trying to protect Emma.
No, I know, but Emma wasn't treating her badly just because Lana was being cold.
I guess.
Emma was feeling bad about it, taking it personally maybe,
Right.
She wasn't treating Lana badly in response, or at least not from what we've seen.
After we've gotten to the bottom of this incident, no doubt this day will leave a permanent stain on the history of the prosecutor's office. I mean, one way or another, yeah. More contradictions have surfaced in her testimony. Your sister's really putting up a fight. She must really care about you. Still, she's not doing this the right way. I think I finally figured out the contradictions in her testimony. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. I don't know about possibility, but I do notice I am aware of this part.
Right. Or you can just present it now and say, we found this other one in the safe.
There it is. We did it. Ms. Skye, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene.
Nice, Joe.
Thank you. I've said that multiple times. Also, notably, while I'm right about this, or have been right about this, I was wrong about something else.
Oh.
So, I said that piece of the jar was in the safe along with the leather to blackmail Lana with.
Right.
But she didn't know it was in there.
Right.
In other words, she didn't know he had it. She truly believed that she got all of the pieces.
Right.
So that wasn't used as part of the blackmail. Maybe that leather with the handprint was. We're not sure yet. But so I was wrong about that other aspect of it, though, because that jar piece was not being used as part of the blackmail.
I know you hate Gant, but can I venture the possibility that he had an inkling? I mean, Phoenix is now saying you weren't the first one to show up on the scene. What if Gant had an inkling of what actually happened and then was cognizant of the fact that Lana would then try to do something to prevent Emma from being incriminated?
Well,
so he took some of the evidence and hid it.
But we're surmising that he helped her do this. That he helped her fabricate the evidence for the SL9 case all that time ago. And if he did, that's what made her go to the prosecutor's office because now he had something to hold over her head, etc. My curiosity is, did he write Emma on the jar? God bless you. He might have. She was in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he would have known what transpired insofar as her pushing Marshall and Marshall falling backward on the knife thing and whatever.
Right.
So who knows? But we'll go from there. It's just another hypothesis that I'll put
so
forth.
Many that could be drawn here.
Which is surprising because it's the final episode. Hurry the hell up. Chief Gant got there before you. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. that was a pretty big piece, especially it had a full handle on it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, it wasn't a full handle, it was a broken handle, but no, the
No.
other piece had the broken handle.
Exactly. That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ha! Can you believe that?
Yes, I can, because you're a friggin' idiot.
Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that! There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar? The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? The judge's mouth was just going up and down. Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? Like, calm down, Phoenix. He doesn't have to answer shit.
Yeah. He's not the one being questioned here.
No! Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Thank you, Judge. Jesus. That's the old, I'm asking the questions here.
Right.
Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Yup.
So he just tricked Lana into thinking that.
Yeah. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the Chief's puppet. Oh, shit! She just bit her finger until it bled. Did you see that?
Yeah.
No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client.
Right.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
Wow.
This fucking dude, man. Get out of here. Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana, maybe Wright after all. What do you mean, Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Ms. Skye, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. I was right, it seems. Ms. Skye, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. All right. The witness may testify once more for the final time. Here we go. Actual crime scene. Witness testimony. Let's do this shit. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor's sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. So you were right. She couldn't have lifted the body off. If it was dragging across the floor, I could absolutely see how she'd be able to do it, but
Well, also, I was right about before when you said Lana knew Emma did it. And then I was like, or Lana thinks Emma did
Right,
it.
exactly. Absolutely. Unbelievable! The body was impaled on the armor's sword?
Yeah, we fucking knew that like 80 years ago, dude.
You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. She said she had a camera with her.
Oh.
I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. She did? What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture. I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. What did we get from Lana this morning? Do you remember?
No?
There must be a picture in there somewhere. It was the book of evidence.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about it because it was so useless.
Look at this stupid thing.
Oh, it's a chick. It's a baby chick dressed as Sherlock Holmes. It's so cute.
All right, so let's look at the spine. Nothing on the spine. Let's look at the back. Nothing in the... Oh. Ah, we found it. Holy crap.
Jesus.
Hey, there's a picture here. Wow, man. It's rough as hell. Yeah. Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Lana's picture inserted into the court record. It usually doesn't say it that way. Yeah. I guess because it replaced the book. So it wasn't added to the court record, it was inserted because it replaced the book. Crime scene photo from the case 2 years ago taken. Why is that the wording that they used for that? That is horrible. Maybe a bad translation? I don't know. Yeah. Mr. Wright! That piece cut out from his vest! Yeah. Could that be the cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe? It sure could! Didn't I say that? Mm-hmm. Did we both say that?
No, just you said that.
Okay. I didn't want to not give you credit. It was me and only me, Amy. Suck it!
Who cares, but still.
I care. Phoenix, what's this? This is a handprint, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Emma still doesn't know it's hers.
Correct. That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whose ever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. What? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay. Actual crime scene. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body. Oh, shit. I didn't do that. There it is, of course.
This motherfucker.
Yup. Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen.
Go back to lunch, motherfucker.
Right? Get the hell out of here. Chief Gant! What, now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. There it is. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck.
Wow.
Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't, but someone does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death? Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt? Is this true, Mr. Wright? I mean, no, but... Like, we have it, but if I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now, and if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I'd better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? So, that's the thing though. It doesn't automatically prove that she killed him.
Right.
So, we can't not show it. Because if the, it's fabricated. Obviously. So, I guess we show the evidence and then work our way through, like...
Yeah.
Talking about why it's not? Yes, Your Honor. I do have further evidence. All right. The time's finally come to show it to them. Those prints have got to be the Chief's. They sure don't have to. Now then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. There's got to be something else then, maybe? I guess not. Yeah.
No, that's what they want us to show right now.
Yep.
It's just that then we have to prove that it doesn't mean that.
Yeah. It's a piece of leather cloth? Yes. It most likely was cut from the victim's vest, near his chest. What's this? There's a big handprint on it. Surely it must have been left on the cloth by whoever shoved the victim into the sword. What? Whose fingerprints are on this? I'm sure Righto has checked, haven't you? Well, whose are they? They're Ms. Skies. Ms. Emma Skies. What? They're mine? So I really did do it. See? I told you it was conclusive. I should know because I showed up on the scene first and put Emma's hand on the grease on the floor and then against his coat. But this was found in your safe. That means it's possible you forged it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any cloth in my safe. Do you really expect me to believe that? But... Give it up, Mr. Wright. It's over. You shouldn't have presented that. By presenting that evidence, you tied Emma Skye to Neil Marshall's death. No. It appears we have our killer. No!
I mean, no it doesn't. This trial is for the death of Goodman.
Everything hinged on that point. In the end, Lana alone was found guilty on all counts. Okay, so I guess I'm not supposed to show the evidence? That doesn't make any sense. He literally told us specifically to show it.
Yeah, but I guess...
We have to start that whole thing over again?
What?
Alright, we'll be back. I'm not making people sit through this. We'll be back. Okay, we're finally back. That took a long time to get back here.
I thought you actually went through it pretty quickly.
I think so too. It also kind of makes me wonder...
It was a lot to do. But...
Yes. It kind of makes me wonder what speedruns of this game look like, just from like sitting here slamming the enter key over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think the fact that they asked whether or not to show the evidence,
yeah,
was a clue that we shouldn't, especially since just the fact that everything is coming to a head right now.
Correct.
Emma has been possibly found out to possibly be an accidental murderer.
Right.
Lana is still lying on the stand.
Yep.
And has been found out to have forged evidence.
Yep.
Chief Gant, we're trying to incriminate him.
And he looks like we've got him, and then he gets cocky again because he's gotten all of his ducks in a row. We just have to try to find a way to knock one of them out of place, you know?
I mean, Edgeworth was having issues about the whole, not knowing that he was given false evidence for the original murder.
Correct.
And he was going to face disciplinary action for that.
Yeah.
He also said we were going to be facing disciplinary action for something that we did that I can't even remember anymore. And then...
No, that's this. If we don't present the evidence, but they find that we had it,
no,
we would be brought in front of the inquiry board.
No.
Oh.
No,
okay,
I'm
sorry.
talking about Edgeworth saying that we needed
I see.
to be held accountable for something that we did that I can't remember.
Gotcha.
And then there's this.
Yeah.
So, and Gumshoe was fired as well.
Correct. Or demoted, at least.
So it's, everything, everything that could go wrong has already, basically.
Hell yeah.
So now it's about us trying to prove what really happened and less about us trying to save our own skins, because everyone's skin has been burned at this point.
Good point. Very good point. So this is a little bit of a repeat, but not much. If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I'd better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision, because otherwise I'll have to start all over and it'll take Joe forever to get through it. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie? Chief Gant! You opened my safe. I know you took... Oh, so now he's implicating himself that way. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason.
It's really more the stomach area.
Right? You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the scene of the crime that day, or crime scene, whatever, same thing. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. Well, he's just really giving it all, huh?
I guess.
Okay. So you really were manipulating her. I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask for me for my aid. So you assisted Ms. Skye. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by being dumb, or by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar, too? Thank you, Edgeworth. That's what I said. Ho, ho, ho. Yes, Santa Claus? Some people just don't know when to quit, do they?
Like you, for instance.
That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Wright-ho, cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant? That you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all, but it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle, but the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Shit! Did I get this wrong again?
Oh, God. Well, look it up first before you do anything.
Why? So I don't have to restart? Yeah, that's a very good point. Alright, so let's discuss it. Let's take a guess as to which way we should answer. Then we'll look it up and see if we were right without, like, having to start all over again.
Okay.
I still say he did it. He made that cloth have her handprint on it.
Right.
But
without any
proof.
Yeah, without any other way of, like, saying that that's what happened. I don't know.
I know.
It's hard.
Yeah. Okay. But the first time
want you to have to go through all of this all over again.
Well, but we're not going to. No matter what, we're going to look it up. What I'm saying is, what would we do if we didn't care? Like, if we were playing this on our own and we weren't looking stuff up, what would we try? It's a 50-50 shot. I still think I guess I'd try cannot show evidence again.
Yeah.
Because we still haven't, nothing has changed in allowing us to be able to try to prove that he fabricated this, except that Edgeworth has already presented the possibility that he fabricated the Emma on the jar.
Right.
And if he did that, then, and Gant responded by saying that, sure, but that's why he had the second piece of evidence as insurance.
Right.
So, I'm curious. But, yeah, I would say cannot, I guess. But I could see how it could be show if then Edgeworth is going to turn around and be like, cool, you made that too. Great, nice job. So, all right, give us a second. Well, Amy, thanks for making me look it up. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. All right, then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest? Oh, yes. At last you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean it could not have been forged? It must be authentic, conclusive evidence.
What?
Why? She was unconscious, and he's a pretty strong dude.
Right.
He couldn't have, like, leaned her down on it. Anyway. Ho, ho, ho.
And it looks like that because we put the fingerprint powder all over it.
Well, no, it looked like that before as well.
Well, still.
Yeah. You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Wright-O had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted.
Oh, okay.
The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is...
Oh. Is he gonna lie? Are we
Nope.
supposed to lie? Oh, okay.
Just say it's Emma. Emma? Emma Skye? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Excuse me. Oh ho ho ho! You're really something, Wright-O. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
No, that kind of was tragic.
How could you? You monster! Miss Skye! You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Ms. Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Ha! But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career, too. You purposefully concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense.
I mean, so did you, dude.
Sure. Well, first of all, I 100% agree that concealing conclusive evidence is a serious offense. You can't do it. It's not allowed. We've talked about it in multiple episodes that when one side has evidence, you have to present it to the other side during discovery. If after discovery, evidence comes to light or a witness comes forward or something, and you are one of the two sides of the case, and you find out about this evidence or you find this witness, you still have to present it to the other side. You have to present it to the judge. You don't get to just come into trial and be like, I found this evidence last night,
Right.
and shove it in front of a witness's face and make them answer questions about it or whatever. It needs to be presented to the other side, and if it's like during trial or something crazy like that, it needs to be told to the judge as well, who can just make a ruling as to how much time the other side gets to observe that evidence or speak to that that witness or whatever the case may be. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy! But that's been in our evidence all this time.
Yeah.
We need that badge. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. shit. Oh. No. It can't be that. Hold on. Nope. Doesn't show anything there.
Maybe it's the picture on the back of the list? No, because that was prior to the actual murder.
It wasn't. Because... Didn't we determine that the person squatting down is Marshall? Or we determined that the person standing up is Marshall?
Standing up.
So, if she were to go over and shove him, she wouldn't shove him with her right hand on the right side of him. Look at how he's standing. She'd use her left hand to shove the left side of him.
Okay.
Right? If she's looking at it from that perspective, we have a couple of, ways to play with this, so I'm going to give that a try. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, ho, ho, ho! I think I was wrong. It's fun watching you squirm, Righto. This piece of evidence does indeed seem to contradict something. Your outward appearance of mental sanity. Wow, dude, Jesus Christ. What am I doing? If this cloth was cut from Prosecutor Marshall's vest after he died, then something's definitely not right about it. Oh, I got it.
What?
It's too late to turn back now. You're the only one who can put an end to this, Wright. Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. It's this.
Oh.
Look at how much goddamn blood would be all over it.
Oh, yeah.
But there's none on it at all.
Yeah.
Because
he cut it before.
Right. It should have been cut after, which would be when all this blood would be all over it. I got you. Okay. Thanks for the little tip, game. I appreciate it. And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Ms. Skye took. Take a good look at it. Yeah, because the blood's all over the white shirt. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth! Wait! There's no blood on it! Ah! Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. No! This is nonsense! Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Ms. Lana Skye, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue, and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest?
Yep.
Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. No! It's finally all over.
He looks great like this.
Oh, that was close, Righto. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. I told you. If it was illegally obtained, you can't present it in court. Can't do it. Fruit of the poisonous tree. Order! Order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, G? Earlier, old Wright here concealed that piece of cloth. That's not why it's illegal evidence. So then, what's your excuse, Wright? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. 100%, that is incorrect.
That's not what that means at all.
That makes no goddamn sense at all. That's not when it ceased to be legal evidence. It ceased to be legal evidence when it was somewhat illegally obtained. Again, blah, blah, gumshoe was there, blah, blah, blah. Right, it doesn't matter.
That's irrelevant.
Exactly. But, now he's not the witness, technically. He was at one time, right. So it could probably be argued that since he was the one that brought it up, that he was the one who put it in, essentially.
Yeah.
As opposed to Phoenix being like, yep, here it is, I'm presenting this evidence, I got it, I obtained it, like... But that's not fair! Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. You're so wrong, dude. Well, Mr. Edgeworth? True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? Shit. The answer should be I did not. And then he'll state his reason for why it was not illegal for him to conceal it. Or not show it yet.
Well, he did say it was conclusive evidence as to who the murderer was.
Gant said that.
No, the judge.
Yeah.
And then he said, I don't have evidence to present at this time.
Sure.
But then he proceeded to use it to incriminate Gant as the actual murderer.
Right. Yeah,
so
good point.
That's not actually an argument that can be made there.
Interesting. So I would say I did not, but we'll be back in 1 second to find out if that was correct. Thank God I was right. I admit, I refused to present it at one point. Aha! So the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Udgy, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe. There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. What should I present, Amy?
The Blue Badger.
You suck.
I wanted to sound really convinced when I said it.
It was good. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. Now, I will point something out. Something like this, I mean, for this particular instance, is really goddamn dumb. But something like this, fully permitted. You can present, like, a dictionary to prove the definition of a word. As long as you show what, like, state what type of dictionary it is or whatever, you can put a dictionary into evidence. Mm-hmm. And then have like a witness or whoever's there turn to that particular word and then read out the definition of it, because you need to have some basis of that knowledge. You can't just step up as an attorney and be like, well, or, ask a witness, define that word. And then even if you've prepped your witness beforehand, just have them be like, yes, the definition is this, and just have them say it out loud. Like that doesn't make it true.
Right.
But you can present a dictionary to define it. You can present an evidence law textbook for a witness to read out the law as it is written. And then if they're an expert witness, you can then ask them to interpret what that means, especially for something that would typically, not in this case, but would typically be kind of as wordy as a law textbook or a legal treatise or something like that, that would have the law written in it. A lot of times that law is very wordy, and you may need, for either the judge or more likely the jury, you would need to have that expert kind of not dumb it down, like that makes it seem insulting, but like summarize it appropriately. Yes.
And and just make it, digestible for most people.
Exactly. So again, with what we've seen out of this law book, that's not really something you need to do. But yes, that you could have then that person attempt to synthesize it down into, like you said, more digestible information. So, what's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth. Nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall? When was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest? Oh, yes! No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant. The killer was you! Huh. That was really weird that I had to do that. Oh, God. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum! For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department, trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've gotta help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden, he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Could you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. I had to come up with that voice on the fly. I did not know I was going to be doing his voice. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it.
Well, that's true.
Then you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will.
That's not true, I feel like.
Well, I don't know that it's, like, that drastically different.
A detective is a higher post than a beat cop, which we learned from Marshall, right?
Sure.
And under a beat cop was like a patrolman.
Yeah.
Which we learned from Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to know that police officers make a decent living.
I've heard the same. And more importantly, especially these days, the pension is very good.
Yeah.
And the benefits as well. I mean,
right.
it's all state backed, which is
you
great.
to retire early.
Yes.
Not at the same age that most people retire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is why they need your pension to be good enough to allow you to sustain your livelihood or whatever.
So, a detective who is a higher level than a cop would make more money than a prosecutor would.
Probably. At least from what I've heard around here, as well as the fact that he's chief of police, so it's more than detectives.
Yeah.
Salary-wise. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how? How could you get Miss Skye involved in all this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker? I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments in the glove. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. That's very true.
I mean, anyone would be.
Yeah.
Because murder's not a good thing. That's why there's a trial about it.
Yep. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone.
This dude is such an asshole.
He's a big asshole. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy! What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be. long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Udgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Righto here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong.
That's true.
In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Ms. Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence, up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top.
Aw, she smiled.
She did. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days.
Yeah, not just over the past few days.
Yeah. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. Huh. It was nothing. Yeah, right. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory.
Yes, he did.
You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job.
Stop it.
Yeah, stop it. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Ms. Sky. Yes, Your Honor? You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling? Because she's back to her old self.
Yeah.
It's very quick for that to have occurred, but still.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I've felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. God knows that's true. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Ms. Lana Sky, not guilty. Amazing.
Yeah.
Finally. That is all. This court is adjourned. Wow. February 25th, 5:03 p.m. We've been in this courtroom for 7 hours.
Jesus.
District Court Defendant Lobby number 2. At long last, it's finally over. Yeah, I thought the same thing, dude. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended. I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. That is not what she said. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well.
She didn't say that.
Nope. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals.
Oh my god, every time.
Yes, Gumshoe, you're the goddamn man. Poor Gumshoe. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? The number of times this has happened, man. It's just, oh my god. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making the detective run all around while on duty. And to top it all off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. This is literally exactly what happened previously. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day, 2 years ago, was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis, I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis! I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find the way back to our rightful place. Or path, whatever you just said, sorry. And it is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe. Me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Where was he hiding? I just came to say, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. Wait, come back. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. Is corruptly a word? Corruptedly, maybe, if anything? Corruptly?
Corrupt. I think it's just corrupt.
Who acted corrupt? I guess. That's so
I
weird.
don't know.
Let us know in the comments. Do you know? Is corruptly a word?
I mean, I guess, because you can put an ly at the end of basically anything to make it an adverb, right?
I guess. I don't know. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realized today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth. Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right when he said that they were alike, because that's not right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, We're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man.
You didn't say that either.
You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to get it to go it alone. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth? Who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth.
It's all the more reason why you should. Because you're able to say that, whereas whoever else would take your job maybe wouldn't be able to say that and would just decide to do what Chief Gant did.
Right, they would just get corrupted by the power. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. Underestimating him or whatever. You said, in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright.
Exactly.
And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright. Show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own? Jesus. What the hell are you talking about?
The picture? The evidence law book?
No. It's got to be this cloth, right?
No, we found the cloth. It's got to be something that Lana gave us.
Neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own.
Or was there something we found together?
The incident files, the security video.
The pictures on the back of the lists. Because he had one half and we had the other half.
Okay.
It's that.
Take that. That's the picture I drew. You're awesome. Good job. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other. You're absolutely... Way to go, Amy. God damn. I had no idea. I was literally going to, like, present our lawyer's badge or something. Like, have it be, like, a deep thing, you know?
We're lawyers together.
Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth? If you'll excuse me.
He's such an emo kid.
There are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor.
Why does he have to leave like that?
Edgeworth? What will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember. You can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I better get going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do.
Yeah.
Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation. With a little chick on it. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well.
The first book you ever bought?
Thanks, sis. I will. I don't know why.
I think she means the first one having to do with
law or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith.
So cute.
Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. a journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh?
That's why he needs to borrow money from
Chief Gant.
Chief Gant.
Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the one who'll be footing the bill. Huh?
Oh, shit.
Huh? What, you think I can afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? 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 Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best.
Amazing.
Awesome. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream? Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. Nice.
Nice.
We did it. Holy crap.
Love it.
I have to say, a very cool ending. Oh, god damn it. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then, I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Cool. Oh, is this how they're going to do it? It's going to jump back and forth?
Probably.
That's going to be very frustrating. Because I want to talk, as we typically do at the end of these shows about, or at the end of these series, about what you thought, but here we go. Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalized you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily.
So he does still work there, I guess.
It seems that way, and
so
with
he's
his
not
own
coming to work for us.
No, and with his post back, it seems as well.
Nice.
So that's good. I guess we have to wait. Thanks for bearing with us. I mean, all these episodes have been long recently,
Yeah.
so if you've been following along, thank you so much.
Well, the most recent ones have been kind of short, actually.
They felt short. Oh yes, this guy. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm gonna make detective. Yes, sir. Then I can be just like Dick Gumshoe.
Dude, stick to what you're good at, okay?
And he's watching Billy, which was Jake Marshall's pet cactus. If I recall correctly. Oh, he's so happy about it, too. Oh, I was like, is that it? It's the Blue Badger. That's right. I love this dude. I really do. Like, everybody else found him so annoying. I love him. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, I think he's great.
More of the Blue Badger. Oh no!
I broke.
But why would they show him falling over? He's so cool. Put him back. Fix him. Let Gumshoe fix him. Put him back in the evidence room. He guarded that blood stain so well. There he is. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Starr managed to sneak this into me. She's seeing one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, it looks like you did it. Yeah, I know. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Billy and the gang, the cacti.
Okay, sure. You basically don't need to water cacti.
Eventually.
Okay.
Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. Why would you pause like that in that sentence? As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu. The Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer's as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. to end the meal. End the meal on a bitter note. Yeah, that seems bad. Is there anybody else left? Oh, God. Wow. Yep, there sure is. Oh, it's the judge. I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Amazing. Anyway, he said he's been doing, something or other for, how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I'd better be... Huh? Oh, no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go. We never saw his chair before.
Yeah, we did when Emma was like... Was it Emma? Was like in the courtroom all by herself, remember? And there was no one in the gallery or like...
Yeah, she
was
the
like... judge wasn't there.
Yeah, but we didn't see it in color. That was in black and white, I think, because she was like dreaming it or whatever.
I think it was in color, but it was just really far away, so you couldn't really tell what it looked like.
Ah! Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick.
So cute.
Oh, God, no. What an interesting game. I would love people's thoughts in the comments below, especially if you've never played this game before. What did you think watching us play through it? And if you have, what did you think of our struggles? Do you think they were warranted, or do you think that, like, you had a much easier time with it? Okay, we're in Edgeworth's office. Mr. Edgeworth? Oh, here, this dude. Mr. Edgeworth, I brought you your tea. What's going on? Did he actually turn in his resignation letter?
I guess so.
Whoa. Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be all right. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book.
That's cute.
Right? Oh, okay. Oh, because I bet you there's a thing.
A photo in it?
Yeah. Yep. There it is. Yeah, show it to us. Yeah, look at how adorable they are.
Yes.
So cute. Awesome. And there you go. Achievement unlocked. Rise from the ashes. Okay. We sure did do it.
I guess that's why our name is Phoenix instead of Nick.
Nice. And that's it.
That's it.
So, now is the time. Now we can do it. Oh my God. I still have to say, this ending was cool, right? The way that this worked out. I still think I felt better following the end of chapter 4.
Yeah.
That's just me personally. Where if this chapter didn't exist, I wouldn't have felt like I missed anything.
Right.
And now that this chapter does exist and we played to the end of it, that's fine. And I enjoyed the end that we then got to. But this didn't need to occur unless the sequel to this game has Edgeworth not as a prosecutor.
Right.
And then you wouldn't otherwise know why he wasn't.
Right.
So, because we didn't meet Damon Gant or, the chief of police or the chief prosecutor or anything like that until chapter 5. So it's not like, Damon Gant would then be in jail and we'd be like, well, the last we saw him in chapter 4, he was fine.
Right.
Like, no.
We didn't see him until chapter 5.
Exactly. He was introduced to then be, taken away or whatever you want to call it. So, interesting. Amy, as I typically ask when we play these games, what overall did you think of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney?
You know, it's tough because I feel like we had a lot of criticisms of this game. Because there were a lot of inconsistencies and just things that were wrong.
Well, things that and also things that we felt didn't make sense, like the answers to some of the puzzles. We were like, how are we supposed to know any of this, right? So that much I get.
That's why at one point when you wanted to present one of the pieces of evidence about something, I was like, yeah, I think that's too far of a leap for this game, because we learned that it's gotta be, there can't be a couple of steps of inferences between the piece of evidence and what you're presenting it for.
Yep.
Because if that's the case, it's the wrong answer.
Right, it's too far away, and you gotta, because sometimes the game will then walk you up to it, and then you're like, oh, okay, now it's time to do that.
Right.
Sure, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, and like, I tried, you know, it's funny, because you and I, having somewhat different perspectives coming into this game, right? Neither of us had ever seen this game before, but I have more knowledge of the law than you do.
Yeah.
So, like, getting into this game and realizing that its world of law is different from the world of law that I understand, which, to be honest, makes perfect sense.
Right.
It was created in a different country, to my knowledge.
And it's a game.
It's a game, and so it needs to create a world and be entertaining, as opposed to being fully factual. And I think, in that respect, they did a good job of letting us know what the parameters of this world were.
Right.
It's just that I'm able to sit here and be like, well, that doesn't make sense because of this, and that's wrong because of this. But it's not wrong. It's just wrong if you're pretending that this is the real world,
right,
quote unquote. So, sure. I would love people's thoughts in the comments below as well of experiencing this game through the eyes of an attorney. Like, was that different for you with some of the things that I was talking about? I tried to, like, include little beads of information here and there, and to see what I thought about it or what seemed odd to me.
Yeah.
And was that different if you played through this? Things that you may not have realized how they paired or contrasted with how things work in the real world,
right,
of law, and
or at least
etc.
in the United States.
Correct, of course, yeah.
How things work in other countries, we don't know that much about.
Correct. Right, and that's why I specified as much as I could, not even in the United States, but limited to my knowledge of New York law.
Right.
Right? I mean, I studied federal law just through law school, like that's how it works. But my experience since graduating from law school was purely in New York State. And so there could be different laws for different jurisdictions. That's fully within their right as, you know, individual states to make certain laws for their own courts and etc. So, you know, if you have knowledge of other states and say, you know what, it is closer in this state for this or whatever, hopefully you left them along the way in other episodes, because now's not really the time for me to be saying it, I suppose, but still.
If you can think of it,
sure,
if you remember.
Yeah, definitely.
A specific instance.
Right. As always, let us know in the comments of this video or any video. I do not know what game is going to be in this slot next week. Truly, I don't. But I can tell you that what you should make sure that you do is subscribe and ring that bell. I've mentioned it before. I'll mention it again because it gives you notifications whenever any of our videos come out. That's super important so that whatever video comes out next week, you'll be here for it so that you can check out whatever new series or one-off we're about to begin. So, I don't know. Is there more that you want to say on this game? I guess I'll ask a question. How's that? To kind of point you in the right direction. Now that we've played this game, not to say start it next week, but would you play the sequel?
Yes.
Okay. Good, because we have the trilogy. So, anyway. So good. That's good to hear. If people want to see the sequel sooner rather than later, leave it in the comments.
Yeah.
Definitely let us know that. We do have a schedule that we kind of try to make out ahead of time, like way ahead of time, but it's still something that you can definitely leave in the comments for us. We would love to hear it, because if we notice that a lot of people are like, hey, we really loved this, we want to see more, that'll make us push it more to the top of our list. So definitely make sure that you do that. But as long as you know that you're willing to play it again, I have to say there was a period of time where playing through this game where I would have said that I didn't want to play through the sequel.
Right.
Because I was getting very frustrated at times.
Yeah.
Partially with the lack of realism, but more so with the lack of sense. Like, stuff didn't make sense to me.
Right.
And because of that, I was very frustrated. Because I was like, what are we supposed to be doing here? Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that I feel like it turned around. Mm-hmm. I think that this chapter was the most egregious for that, unfortunately. But I'm still glad that we kind of, I don't want to say forced our way to continue it. But even though chapter 5 was looking frustrating, we still made it a point to finish the game because we had come so far. And like, at that point, you kind of just, even if it was just, well, we'll look it up and just know everything before we come in, just so we can finish the story. Although that would be a little bit more disingenuous, I think. So, but yeah, that is going to be the end of this particular episode and this particular series. Thank you all for any and every episode that you joined us for. If you were here for every episode, let us know in the comments. We'll congratulate you. Thank you so much. And if you were here for one, who cares? Shout yourself out in the comments too. I don't care. We watched just this one and we loved it. Great. Love to hear that. Not a problem whatsoever. But we really hope
you had fun that one day.
Exactly. We really hope that you enjoyed. We thank you for being here with us for any and all of these videos in general, whether they be whether they be Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney or any of the other series on this channel, regardless of what game it is, etc.
Or any of the other channels.
Correct, because we have other channels linked down in the description box below, so check those out too, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bells there. Do all that fun YouTube stuff, and don't forget, liking and sharing, if you did enjoy this stuff, helps us out immensely. So thank you in advance for doing stuff like that. We really do appreciate any and all support that you're all willing to give. But for now, from us here at the Geek for All family of channels, I have been Joe.
And I'm Amy.
And as we always say, in whichever video of ours you watch next, we will see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.